All right, hello everybody. Let's talk about your Miranda rights. We have heard about these for forever. This is something that's almost become ingrained in pop culture, where you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you, etc., etc. Okay. First thing that you need to know is if you're ever being read your Miranda rights by a member of law enforcement, shut your mouth. Say nothing. Okay. When they finish, say lawyer. Say you're not going to make any statements, whatever it may be, okay? So if you're being read those rights, there's a good chance, almost 100% chance that you are the focus of an investigation. And when they say anything that you say can and will be used against you, they absolutely mean that anything that you say can and will be used against you, all right? Anything that you say. So say nothing. Now, I've got a lot of people that come to me and they say, Nick, they talked to me or I talked to them, but they didn't read me my Miranda rights. What happens then? All right. There are certain times where Miranda kicks in, and that is when you are under custodial interrogation. Okay. So what that means is two things. Number one, you're in custody. Number two, you're being interrogated. You're being asked questions. Okay. You're in custody and you're being asked questions. If you're not in custody, Miranda doesn't apply. They don't have to read it to you. Okay? If you're not being asked questions, they don't have to read it to you. Okay? So what does in custody mean? Essentially, the idea of in custody means that a reasonable person wouldn't feel free to walk away under that circumstance. Okay? So if a police officer comes up to you and says, hey, Johnny, will you come with me? Will you answer a few questions? And you say, you know what? Sure, no problem. I'm happy to come with you. You answer all their questions. You incriminate yourself, and they don't read you Miranda. You voluntarily went with them. You weren't in custody. Okay? There are a lot of different exceptions to that, and I won't go through all of them, but that really comes down to a case-by-case factual basis, okay? So, in custody, you don't feel like you are free to leave. If a police officer says, you need to come with me right now and answer questions, then that's a completely different set of circumstances rather than, hey, you mind coming with us and talking to us for a second. Now, the second thing is interrogation, custodial interrogation. This simply means that you're being asked questions, okay? If you're not being asked questions, then you're not being interrogated. But what that means, though, is if you're around the police and you volunteer information, okay? You're in the back of the cop car, they're not talking to you, and you say, you know what, here's where the gun is, okay? Here's what happened. And they're not asking you the questions, Miranda doesn't apply. Okay. There are other situations where Miranda doesn't apply, and I'm not going to go into all of them because there is just case law upon case law upon case law of situations where Miranda doesn't apply. But if we're talking about exigent circumstances where there's a public health risk, where the police run up to you and they grab you and say, where's the bomb? Where is this loaded gun? Or et cetera, Miranda doesn't apply in that situation. Okay. Now, I want to end right now talking about some background on Miranda. Essentially, Miranda comes from our Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Okay, the idea that we cannot be forced to testify against ourselves. But the theory behind that is if you're being read your rights and you agree to waive those rights, you are not being forced to testify against yourself. And generally, when the police are going to read you your rights, they're going to pull a card out of the pocket. They're going to read it right to you from a card so that they get it right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be 100% correct. Okay? If they miss a couple words, slip up on a couple of things, the court's probably going to find that that is okay. Okay? Moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is if you're ever being read your rights, if anybody ever tells you have the right to remain silent, absolutely avail yourself of that right to remain silent. You can never, ever, ever get in trouble for remaining silent, okay? So don't say anything. Take care.